Hey everyone, good afternoon. Rever Wealth Radio, Chris and Steve here.
What's up?
How's it going? Good to be out here again talking to you guys. We've Steve and I have been talking a little bit about kind of what we wanted to talk about in this episode, and there's a lot to cover. Always, I think every day we get new content out there. I think we're going to start this week just kind of with a quick myth busting. How's that sound, Steve?
Let's do it. Let's bust those myths.
So we were kind of talking about this, and with him dealing with buyers on the buyer side and hearing the same thing, and also on the lending side, we kind of both get asked this same question, and it's I think I should wait until the market crashes to buy, because I don't want to. It's high right now, and I just don't think it's a good time to buy. You get that, Steve?
Yeah, I get it all the time. And if the market crashes, that is a great time to buy.
Yeah, absolutely. How about doing both, guys? How about buy when it's high, and then also buy when the market crashes, right? So that's so here's the thing. We talked a lot about this, and so I wanted to put it in perspective from a lending side of things. What you'd be looking at from, let's say today, your average home price is $400,000. You did a conventional loan with 3% down, 740 or better credit score. You're looking at a principal and interest payment. So again, $400,000 down payment, 3% down. So it's the minimum down on a first-time home buyer conventional loan program. You've got great credit. Today's 30-year fixed rate is going to put you somewhere in the 3.125% range. So your principal and interest payment on that's about $1,660 a month. That does not include property taxes and homeowners insurance and private mortgage insurance, all those things combined, which will obviously make your payment much higher. We're just talking apples to apples here. So today's market, you're at 0.1%, or at a 3.125% interest rate on a fixed 30-year program, and you're at a $1,660 a month principal and interest payment. So let's say fast forward a year, right? Or even fast forward 2 years, or rewind 2 years back, and rates are in the mid 4% range, right? That was a 4.5, 4.75. That's where we were at a couple years back. So we had a massive drop in interest rates last year in 2020, which created a insane refinance boom, right?
That's right. Yep.
Okay, so rates have already crept back up from that point, and so let's put things in perspective. Let's say you waited to buy until the market came down. The likelihood of the bottom falling out of the market like it did back in 2008 is slim to none. And there's a lot of variables and reasons why that's the case, and we can talk about that.
Let's actually talk about that, but let's finish with the basic math.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So we could get into that, and let's just talk about just the basics so you people can see kind of what it looks like. So let's say by next summer you waited, and the average home price dropped $50,000, right? So that's a little over a 10% drop, right, in the property value. So
huge drop.
It's a huge drop. So you the values, home values lost 10%, and now you're buying that same house for $350K, and you're going to do the same loan at 3% down, right? And interest rates have crept up just 1%, right? Which is not unlikely at all. We see I've seen interest rates climb well over a point overnight. So when the market's volatile, it's absolutely a possibility. This isn't like a slow, okay, we're going to go up a quarter point here, and it absolutely can jump, and I've seen it several times in my career. So let's just say, for the sake of this conversation, that interest rates go just 1% higher, and the property has lost, and you're able to get the property for $50,000 less. So let's put this into perspective and try to explain it as quickly and as detailed as possible. So you're at a $350,000 purchase price, and you are now putting down the same amount, 3%, and you're now financing $50,000 less at 4.125% versus 3.125%. Your principal and interest payment is going to be around $1,645 a month. So you can see that it's less than a $20 savings per month, but in a $50,000 drop, right? Mm-hmm. So twofold. One, you're not saving monthly.
Nope.
Hardly anything, $20, right? So you waited possibly, a year, and this is only if rates go up a point. Anything higher than that, you're talking about a higher payment, right, than what you would be paying at a higher purchase price. But let's talk about a big thing. You're going to pay $50,000 less for a home, but at a 1 point increase in interest, you're going to now pay $40,000 more in interest over the life of that loan. So, around $210,000 in interest on a $400,000 purchase with today's market rates versus $260,000 in interest on a $50,000 less purchase price at a point higher. So, but I bust that myth by saying, hey, if you are in a position to buy now, with the fact that our inventory is so low as it is, if you're in a position to buy now, I would absolutely take that and jump on it now, because it goes back to, this is just simple as can be, right?
Yep.
It's like going and buying a car. You go buy a car, right? And then they shop you with 10 lenders. This lender on the top here, X credit union, is offering you 2.5%, and then this lender down here is offering you 4.25%. Like, why would you ever take? You're going to take the lower interest rate, right? So finance something that you're going to finance for 30 years that's already front loaded heavily in interest. Like, get it at the lowest rate you can. Well, you're worried about a $50,000 reduction in price that may or may not happen.
100%. But let's pretend for a second that not just our people, because our people are looking long term, right? Like,
correct.
What's it going to cost us? That extra $40,000. But let's pretend that in our country right now, your average person does not look at that $40,000. They don't care about that.
Well, that's absolutely because that's in the future. They can't. It's not tangible to them right now.
No,
they're like, I don't care.
It's not. So let's go a step further. If you're renting and you're waiting for that market to crash, right?
Yeah.
That 6 months at $2,000 a month just cost you another $12,000
Absolutely.
up front.
Up front, right now.
Up front. You just lost
and
that
you get
money
nothing
up front.
for that.
Not a thing.
Not a thing. You can't write it off on your taxes.
Nope.
You get no equity benefit. You get nothing, right? So I guess that is the answer to the question is, if you're in a position to be able to buy. I mean, you could be waiting. Nobody knows the future, but I'll tell you right now, and let's talk about kind of what we were getting into is there's so many safeguards in place now that ever since the crash, once Dodd-Frank was written, and the biggest factor from a lending standpoint is ability to repay, right? So we are actually having to provide we have to show on paper and document that you have the ability to repay that loan. And how do we do that? We validate your employment over the last 2 years. We average your income. We don't, if you're an hourly employee that is not salaried and you don't work 40 hours every week with no drop in your hours, we're going to average your income. We're going to take your last 2 years and we're going to average it. So we're putting people in loans that they actually qualify for. So unless every person loses their job in the country and we're all sitting at home, there's enough safeguards in place that we're not worried about necessarily the bottom falling out like it is and having a huge foreclosure situation like we did in 07, 08. And the other thing too with that is people have equity now. So
100%.
If you get into a situation where you can't afford your payment anymore, you can sell.
That's a big difference. People are waiting on forbearances to come due, but now that they're coming through, we're seeing that those people that didn't pay, they opted not to pay their mortgage. They thought they were going to get away with that somehow. I don't know why, but they're
misinformation everything else.
They're coming to us with a lot of equity, not just a little bit. 100,000
exactly. And that's the thing. It's like once you realize that I have an out. See, in 2004, 5, 6, market blew up, and then in 7 when it crashed, it was instant where you literally lost 100% of your equity and then some.
Right.
So you had short sales left and right, and then people just walked away because they're like, what's the point? I owe more than what the house is worth, and so they walk away. That's not the case right now. We're in a very low inventory market still.
Yep.
Right. And so people have equity, and there's buyers out there that still are employed and they can afford these homes. And so that you're in a situation where I don't foresee that happening. Will there always be a market correction? Absolutely.
Sure.
What goes up must come down, right? But to the degree of that, I don't think we'll see. In my opinion, I don't think we'll see what we saw in 2007, 8, and 9. And the other thing too is people have fixed interest rates now. So when I started in the industry in 2003, we were doing adjustable rate mortgages left and right. So, people are getting short-term fixed loans that are adjusting, and they adjust to an index that is very volatile. And so, you have somebody and we're doing interest-only programs, right? So they're not paying any principal. So when that loan goes fully amortized, their payment goes up $500-$600 a month. They're done. That's not happening now. When we put you in a loan now, your payment adjusts based on your assessed value changing in your house, right? So your property taxes go up, so your payment's going to go up a little bit, or you get new homeowners policy and it's more, or whatever that. But as far as your principal and interest, your interest rate itself is fixed. That payment's always what it is, right? So people are able to budget around what they know is going to be the same all the time. They're not getting some huge influx in their mortgage payment and going, oh, well, I'm screwed, let me walk away. So there's a lot of things in place now that I think. So all that being said, to tell people, like, if you're on the fence, go buy, because this is, we're in a low rate environment. Even if rates last year were in the 2s and they're in the 3s now, I mean, it's still phenomenal. If rates are in the 4s, it's still phenomenal. But, if you're waiting for that like, oh, I want the market to crash, it's like you might be waiting a long time, and you're going to be throwing away. I'm looking at rents like $2,200 a month for a 3-bedroom house.
I don't know where you found one for rent. The price, right? Like it's expensive to rent, but when we tell people, you should go out and buy, and we're comparing 400,000 at 1662 to 350 at 1645. We're saying go buy.
Yeah,
we're talking about forbearances right now.
Yeah,
we're talking about
absolutely.
Do you buy at the right time, the right interest, a reduction? Like that's scary. That brings up another myth too, is that when you buy a home, you are trapped for 30 years.
That is, people do think, like, oh, I'm stuck in this for 30 years. Well, no, you're not. You just created an investment right there.
Yeah, when people look at it like, I'm buying a house, this is it for 30 years, it's just simply not true. I mean, across the board, the average person moves every 5 to 7 years.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? So why are you feeling like if you bought a house, life is over, I'm stuck there, I've got to retire? You're adding so much pressure to a situation that's not necessary. Like, we buy houses like every 2 years. Like it is not a forever thing. If you plan right and you actually have some exit strategies, you approach it intelligently. Say, if I was to lose my job, what do I do?
Right.
You can rent it out, you could sell it, you could lease it, you can do so many different things. It's not forever if you don't want it to be.
Absolutely, and that's a great point. I'm glad you brought up the renting situation. There's always a need for rentals, right? so let's say you got into a bind and you're like, man, I can't afford it. And let's say that the market did change by 10%. So now you kind of, your equity position that you bought a year ago, let's say you bought and now your equity position is even, let's just say, whatever. You don't have a 100,000 in equity or 10,000 for that matter, right?
Right.
Your payment is fixed. There's literally a laundry list of renters out there that cannot find a place to rent. Turn that property into a rental. Have somebody paying your mortgage for you until you can get your financial situation back on track, and you have somebody paying your mortgage. That house never stops becoming an investment just because it loses value. It ebbs and flows. So that house over 30 years, ultimately, if you hung on to it, you're going to make money. Look at the history of the mortgage industry, look at the history of the real estate market, and you're going to make money. So keep the house, turn it into a rental. I mean, dude, we're by a military base. These people need homes. They get housed, and that's guaranteed rent every single month. So you rent it out, go live with mom and dad or whatever, you need to do. The point is that we're making is don't be afraid. Like, if you want to create wealth, long-term wealth, you have to take risks and you have to strategize. And real estate is a tangible way for most ordinary people to grab a hold of an investment and start their portfolio, right?
100%. Yeah. And I don't even think it's a risk. I think it's a risk not to invest in real estate. To me, like where are you going to put your money where you get this kind of return long term? Yes, it's going to go up and down. We've seen it, statistically every 10 years or so. We're way past that right now. But I've never talked to an investor that has, 200 doors that doesn't say their biggest mistake was selling a certain property. Anything you hold long term is going to benefit you. And it's probably scary to say that on a podcast that you're guaranteed wealth, but it's proven.
Well, I think that's the thing is, you have to look at the only thing you have to go off of in life is data, right? So facts and data.
Yep.
And so the facts are simply that. The people have done this over and over and over again, and the people in your circle, in your corner, have done this over and over again, and it's like it's a proven method to create wealth long term, right?
100%. Well, just here, ask yourself this: how many people you know that own 5, 10 doors that are broke?
Not one.
Not one.
Not one.
Not a single one of them.
Not one. And so, and that's the reality is we're talking. There's so many different avenues here, and I think there's so many different people we're talking to as well. From your first time home buyer to your established investor who has several homes. They've done it. They're doing it, and they're multiplying it over and over and over again. And for your first time home buyers, in my opinion, and this is just where I'm at in life, I feel like, a lot of people, like especially a first-time home buyer, right? They just want to buy a home because they just want to be a homeowner.
Yes.
But there's such a bigger picture than that. They're not seeing it. Like it's like, I just want to be a homeowner. I'm tired of paying rent. That's great. That's the start.
Yep.
But man, think bigger.
Think
bigger.
You have to think bigger. And here's another myth that we can bust out right now based on that is that that first-time home buyer gets pre-qualified for $450,000. You do not have to spend $450,000. Like you can look at, what's the best positioning for me in this purchase right now? Yeah. And should I be buying a $450,000 home? Maybe. I don't know, but would it be better for you to buy a duplex first? Build some.
So yeah, that's huge. That's 100%. That's, and that is the thing is, we as lenders will pre-approve you. Well, what's the max I can go? Well, you can go 450. Well, I don't like that payment. That's uncomfortable. That's fine. You don't have to buy at that. This is what your buying power is.
Yep.
And then you can figure out what you're comfortable with from there. So, I run into that a lot where people are like, oh, I don't want to get approved for that high. No, get approved for as high as you possibly can.
Yep. Just don't spend
it. Whatever it's like I can go buy $100,000, Tesla, but doesn't mean I need to or
no, but you should.
But
it is irresponsible not to buy it. Like that's a bad car.
That's my next purchase, man.
I'm telling you,
because I'm driving a big truck that gets 8 miles to the gallon. So
I doubt it gets that much.
Tesla sounds great right about now.
Let me tell you too, Tesla, Elon, you can send us something for marketing, but Tesla's roadside service is dope.
Is it?
Yeah, they were in the middle of the night. We hit a pothole, popped 2 tires. We had their roadside service on the phone with us at night, making sure my 6-year-old wasn't sleeping at a gas station.
That's awesome.
So you're welcome, Elon.
I told you to stop letting Kelly drive at night.
She hadn't drank that much.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah, actually, I know this is off topic tangent, but there's the brand new Tesla, the Model S. I'm telling you, that thing, I need it. Yeah. It's like $135,000, and then if you get the what's that autopilot, whatever the heck.
Oh,
it is,
yes,
it's like an extra $10,000, so $145,000. The thing is, so there's a time in everyone's life where they look at things and they go, "Wow, that's not tangible. I can't. Like that's insane, right?" And although I think $145,000 for a car is a bit much, for me, I look at these things now in life and where I'm at is like challenges, like,
Okay.
That's $145,000. Good. I want no problem. Like to me, I don't put roadblocks in front of me. I'm just like, I could go pay cash for it, and I probably wouldn't, right? Because that's not the best use of my money. But
you know what I think? You can pay cash for it, sure, right?
Yeah.
We can pay cash for it. But what I like is if it's a luxury item and it's a goal item, like a bucket list item or whatever, then I want my revenue to pay for that.
Yeah, so everything, that's what I was getting to is everything that we look at now, I look at as how can I make money on this? Like, how can I utilize it for myself?
Yes.
And this isn't always, guys, I just want to be clear, we aren't in a position in where it's like life is all about money, but I am very much in a position where it's like, I want to be a good steward of the money that I do have. Like God has given me, a great life, right? And so I always want to make sure I'm not just frivolous, right? And so if I'm going to make a purchase, like let's say I'm going to buy, a camper, well, I know I'm going to use that camper trailer 3-4 times out of the year.
But
Well,
you could rent
that
it out.
$40,000 is my return on an investment is I'll be dead probably by the time, right? Or I'll sell it. So what am I going to do? I'm going to put that thing on rent my RV or 1-800 whatever it is, and for the other 9-10 months out of the year that I'm not touching it, I'm going to rent it as much as humanly possible. And so I'm looking at now somebody else is helping pay. So think about this, guys. Like when you're looking at investing and you're looking at growing your wealth, it doesn't always have to be done through real estate. There's so many other ways to do it where if you're smart, it's like, well, I don't want to take on that debt. Well, great. You're taking on that debt.
I don't either.
But I don't either. But somebody else is going to pay it for you.
That's the key, man. Wealthy people don't pay for their stuff. Other people pay for their luxuries, right?
I've got a lot of friends that are Airbnb owners, and the amount of money that they rake in, what's funny is all I do is Airbnbs. Ever since COVID last year, oh, we can't say that's actually a bad word. 2020. Ever since 2020, we discussed this already.
Yep.
Ever since 2020. I do not stay in hotels anymore. And I was a hotel freak. Like I just loved hotels, right? Give me that easy life, right? Where I don't have to do anything. But I refuse to comply with nonsense. So I do Airbnbs, and I started that last year. And then it got me thinking, man, this is another incredible way to generate revenue. And you can get to yourself overthinking. And I started doing that last year. Like, well, I got to buy in the right spot. Like there has to be in the right location. And although there is some truth to that, true. I looked at, if you go online, go to Airbnb and then just type in Yuba City. I think there's like 10 or 12 Airbnbs. You would think in Yuba City, who the heck?
But they're rented out.
They're rented out. They're all black. You can't even get a date.
This is
it's crazy.
You say the right spot. The right spot for who?
For everyone's different.
Right. And for me, that right spot is, do I want to go there?
Do I want to go there? Yeah.
Right. So if I can have Airbnbs and places that I want to go to and people are paying for that.
I think that shifted a lot in a lot of people last year, is that people are like, I don't want to deal with hotels. So I'm going to go to Airbnbs, and I have the privacy of my own little place. I don't have to deal with people, and I can just kind of do my own thing, and it's no big deal, right? So
that's a myth.
Yeah.
Like we started myth busting, right? And here we are talking about Tesla and stuff, but that is actually a myth that you have to buy one house and live there permanently. You can have lots of houses.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
How do they get there? Like, how do you get started? Somebody's listening right now and they're like, we got to learn to turn our ringers off. I did the same thing to start that.
I've never done that before, actually. So.
I've done it almost every time I've ever been on air. But okay, so how do they go about that? Because you can't buy a house and then use that rental income for your first one until you have some established.
Yeah, you're buying a rental property and then you're going to use rental income on that subject property. You have to have a history of managing rentals. So you can do it on a subject property. Let's say you're buying a duplex and you're going to live in one. You can use rental income from the other one. It just depends on the different loan types too. So that's so in depth on getting into like, oh, are you doing a conventional loan? Are you doing FHA? Are you doing VA? Every single one of those programs have different guidelines and how you can utilize rental income, right?
Right.
So we can break those down on another episode. I mean, people might fall asleep, but we can definitely do that. But you can absolutely. You got to start somewhere, right? So get that first house. Get that first house. Get acclimated to paying a mortgage payment. Heck, half of you guys are paying, $1,800 to $2,500 a month for rent right now. I'm not saying that you can buy, because once you factor in taxes and insurance on a $400,000 purchase with the minimum down payment, you're at $2,600 a month. But wouldn't you rather be paying $2,500 a month to a mortgage that is a long-term investment that's actually appreciating in value versus throwing think about that. That's $30,000 a year, right? At $2,500 a month rent payment, that's $30,000 a year that goes to nothing. $30,000. Like, think that's insane.
That's got to be like close to our average income. In
Yuba City, I think we're probably around 45,000, so it's pretty close. So you're what, 85% of the average income in our town's going to rent? It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And I think about that, you're getting nothing out of it. No. So I'm not saying everybody, you have to be in a position to qualify to buy. And we need renters, right? So you know why we need renters? I just talked about if you buy a house and you need to rent it. But the thing is, there's always going to be renters. There's always renters out there, right? Yep. So there's always a need for housing in the renters market. But I think that if go back to the original Chris can't speak today. Go back to the original myth. The beginning is stop saying I'm waiting for the market to crash.
Stop waiting, period.
Stop waiting, period. Like at the end of the day, every day that goes by that you could be working on setting up your future. And again, you know what it is, Steve, and it was for me is it's a mindset switch, right? Mm-hmm. It goes from I just want to own a home, but it's too high to how can I start an investment portfolio? How can I start creating wealth because I don't want to work till I'm 92 years old and then I'm dying you know what I mean? I want to live 100%. Life. So I think everything in life I feel is a perspective. So have the right perspective. What can you, everything that you look at in life, I think from what you do for, outside of vacationing, right? Should have something tied to it of how can I make this or my money work for me instead of against me.
You're talking clearly about life by design.
Life by design.
And I think we should do an episode on life by design because we're not going to be able to do it justice right here, now,
absolutely.
Right? Because the myth that we started out with and we said, the myth is you got to just, stop waiting.
Stop waiting.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, we want you to start waiting. Start waiting for our next episode because we are out of time, my brother.
Yes, we are out of time. Great segment and a lot of good information. If you guys have questions, if you guys have comments, we're good with everything. We're good with the haters. We're good with the lovers. We're good with all you people. So shoot it our way. Comment on the post what you want to see more of, what questions you have. If you want to see Steve in a different T-shirt, let me know.
That's not going to happen. I'm not going to buy a second shirt to do a podcast.
Anyways, thanks for tuning in, guys. We love you guys, and we appreciate all the support. Have a great day.
All right.
Chris Burns is licensed by the Department of Financial Protection and Innovation under the California Residential Mortgage Lending Act. Individual NMLS number 633206. Corporate NMLS number 3113. Equal housing lender.